Hi everyone, welcome to Anthony's Hobby Corner. On today's video, I'm going to be doing a routine tune-up of a KATO RS3 unit. I purchased this at a train show pre-COVID and haven't had a chance to give it a quick once-over. So I figured, let's do that today. Now this unit actually runs very well. It doesn't have any issues with it. As you probably know, KATO makes some very good locomotives. Even their detailing is very good, and their transmissions and drive systems are really amazing and reliable. Either way, it's just a personal thing for me. I like to make sure that my locomotives are always well lubricated and and have clean contacts and wheels and are running very well. So let's go through the journey of giving it a quick tune-up. Okay, so the first step is to remove the coupler housings over here, and that'll permit us to pull out the shell. Okay, so these coupler housings, actually the pins actually just pull out like that. Okay, just slide them out. Okay, slide them out. That's all we really need. Okay, and you just gently pop the shell from here. One in the front, and the shell kind of comes loose, and you can pull the whole thing out. There you go. Just snap this back in once we ready to put the shell back. So I'm going to place the shell on the side. Okay. So here's your typical KATO drive. All right, so it doesn't look in bad shape at all. I'm looking at the front. Maybe there's not much lubrication in the bearing out there, the worm bearing. So we'll put some lubrication on all of that. And we'll put some lubrication on both sides of the motors, and we'll take it from there. All right, so I'm going to start off by putting a dab of lubrication on this side of the motor bearing, as well as this motor bearing as well, on both ends. Now, typically the lubrication I like to put in any close proximity of the contacts of the motor, or the brushes to the motor. I'd like to use a product called Conductor Lube. And the reason I use this lubrication is because this one is conductive, and therefore even if some of it gets on the commutator, it won't fall off the commutator. And so I typically use this product on both ends of the bearings of the motor, and that will help provide the lubrication as well as the conductivity that's required. Let's put a quick little dab over here. Yep. It's a small amount is what we need. Okay. Spin it around. Okay. Next, I'm going to pop open the transmission covers. That actually covers the worm gears, and then we'll make sure there's some sufficient lubrication in there. And we'll put a little bit of a dab of lubrication on the U-joints, and then we'll close the shell up and then go over to the trucks or the bogies. We'll see these transmission covers or worm gear covers do have an opening here where you can actually lubricate the worm gear from here without popping it open. But I like to take a look at it on the inside and make sure I lubricated both ends of the bearing, of each bearing on this worm gear. So let me just do that now. There we go. So here's the worm gear housing. Just place it aside. And now you have full visibility of the worm gear. As you can see, there is a little gap between the worm gear and the bushing here. Similarly, there's a little gap between the worm gear and the bushing here with a thrust washer on both ends. You need to lubricate that as well, not just the worm gear teeth, but also the both ends of that bearing. Now typically if you put some lubrication on the outside end of the bearing, it will tend to travel inside here, but since I'm already inside the locomotive, I might as well just do it properly. So give me a second. So the lubrication I put on worm gears and on transmissions, I typically use Hobby Lube Premium, and it's a medium weight oil. And this is designed for model locomotives and stuff like that, so that's why I use this. Now some people put some grease on the worm gear. I tend not to do that. I'm not a fan of putting grease. Some put grease and mix a little bit of oil with it, so it becomes a little bit more flexible. But then I'm still not a fan of that as well. I just like to put straight oil, just a dab of it. I find that grease tends to work itself out away from the teeth after a while, and then it builds up a lot of crud on the edges, and then it hardens up, and then it becomes counterproductive. So that's why I just use straight oil. Okay, so I'm going to put a quick dab on the outside of this bearing. Wait for this oil to, there it comes. That's it. I'm going to spin it around a bit. Push the spacing out between the bearing and the worm gear, and then put a dab in there. A little bit on the teeth, on this side, and on the front. That's it. And spin the transmissions so the oil moves around. This way the thrust washer that is between the worm gear and the bearing will also have some lubrication. Okay, very good there. Okay, so now I'm going to put back the housing cover. Actually, before I do that, I might as well just put a dab of oil on these U-joints. I like to put just a dab so that they then have some good lubrication. Okay, I'm going to pop this cover back and then we'll move over to the other side. Okay, there we go. Cover's back on. Yep. Very good. All right, over to the other side. And I'm going to do the same onto this worm gear as well. Okay, just pop this one open as well. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on this side as well, fairly quickly. And just one dab on the worm gear, that's it. Spin it around a bit so that it moves all over the worm gear and around the bearing. Quick dab on the U-joint. And we put the cover right back. Yep, that's good. Okay, so now we've lubricated both ends of the motor. Unfortunately, it's the can motor, so I cannot clean the commutator inside. But typically, if it's a can motor, they're fairly clean. I've also put a little bit of lubrication on the U-joints, and then lubrication on both sides, both bearings on the worm gear, as well as a little lubrication on the worm gear. So we can do the trucks now. And on KATO trucks, they basically have a little tab at the each end, the back and the front of each truck, that you can just pop open and each side slides out. So let's do that. There you go. And okay, and it just snaps out. There we go. The wheels look fairly clean. There is some dirt accumulated here, as you can see, between the contact plate and the wheel surface there. Be cleaning that up for sure. Yeah, there's a little bit of dirt, as you can see, right there, right there. Okay, so I'm going to pop the other side out as well. There we go. Now we can clean the contact rails, as well as the contact point on the wheels. Make sure they're nice and clean, and we can also put some lubrication inside the gears in here as well. Now we're going to pop this center piece here that will then give us access to the gears inside. It's a little tricky getting this one out, but You gotta be careful not to break those little tabs. There we go. Yep, I was able to save the tabs, which is good. The gearbox looks really clean inside. There's some very little bit of grease in here that I see. It seems like it's some factory grease. So I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in this transmission on the gearbox. I still use the same Hobby Lube medium oil. Now you also notice that I didn't actually have to pull out this piece because these little channels were opened all the way into the gears. I could have put a little bit of oil, it would have actually dripped inside, but I figured I'll actually open it up this time. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the gears here, just a dab, and then a little bit on each end of the gears here, on their spindles, or at least the bearings on which the gears sit on. That's it. Now I can just rotate the transmission a bit, just to get the oil to move around a bit. And the gears look to be in very good shape. Alright, so I'm going to put this piece back on. Now we can just clean the contact points. So for the contact points and the wheels, and the dirt on the wheels, I like to use electrical contact cleaner. As you guys have seen, I've used this before. It doesn't leave any residue behind, but it's really good for cleaning around commutators and every point where there's electrical contact. So put a little bit on a cotton swab here. Okay, and then just clean up around the wheels. It's the dirt. And there's what gets caught on the wheel axles, on the wheel. Take the other side. And now the contact points are clean. And now we'll do the same on the other track as well. Okay, so I'm going to assemble this one back. just put these back in the side plates. And we have one truck done. The wheels are really clean actually, so there's no need to really clean the wheels on this one, but they are clean. Okay, we pull up the other truck. Okay, so we're going to clean the contact points on each end, and also I'll lubricate the gear wheels inside, but I'm not going to show that on video again because I already did one truck on video. So I'm just going to do the contact points, and we'll continue from there. Okay, so we're gonna do the contact points again on each axle, and we're also going to do the gears inside. These are a little tricky to get out, but it's going to be have some patience, and you can pop them out safely. There you go. Yep, very good. Again, these gears seem to be in very good condition. Just a little bit of grease on there, so let me just put some lubrication on here, again on the teeth and on both ends where they spin. Okay. Just give it a little bit of a spin to reseat the housing. Okay, and now we're going to clean the contact points. And might as well clean the wheels while I'm here. As you can see, this locomotive is well taken care of, because seems like there isn't much dirt on these axles at all. Okay, put on these last pieces on and we're good to go. There we go. Okay, so we got the entire locomotive lubricated. So now we just got to put the shell back on and we're good to go. Okay, so all we have to do now is put the shell back on, make sure the weights are recessed all the way back. Go, and now you just gotta snap it in. There we go, just snapped in, I think. Now I just gotta line some of the railings because they just might have gotten loose. Yep, we'll line this one up. We're good to go. Okay, so we got the railings aligned again. I think we're good. And the shell is properly on the frame. Now I just have to push in the couplers back in, the coupler housings back in like that. Lock it in. We're good to go. Okay, let's put this on the track and See how it runs. Alright, there we go. It's running pretty well. Can at least get another 40 plus hours of runtime before the next lubrication. Alright, I hope you found the video useful. And if you have any thoughts or ideas to share with me, please put them in the comments, and hope to hear from you soon. Take care.